party helper. You know, kind of a father image kind of thing. As the twig is bent, so grows the tree. Know what I mean?
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby.
Let me stick.
Let me lick it. I'll stick my tongue up your pretty pussy.
You fucking creep!
I'm going to kill you.
December 1974, Black Christmas is released to American audiences. The movie is written and directed by Bob Clark, a Canadian slasher that introduced us to the original Final Girl. The film would become a cult classic, often viewed by horror fans every year on Christmas and Halloween, respectively. The movie was inspired by an urban legend, The Babysitter and the Man Upstairs, about a killer stalking sorority sisters. Haunting Christmas music and a holiday party opens this grisly film. The sorority house of Pi Kappa Sigma is being watched. Disturbing breathing and a chilling point of view shot introduces the audiences to the threat. The camera masterfully places you in the killer's perspective as the unseen man diligently inspects the house. The man scales the home and enters through an open window leading into the attic.
Fun fact, Bob Clark also directed the teen comedy Porky's, as well as a holiday classic, A Christmas Story. He did A Christmas Story in order to counter the controversy from Black Christmas.
You'll never make it!
The waves are too high.
But he made it back to land.
I had to return to the ship.
He explained.
For my toddy, the chocolate drink that's just grand.
Moments later, the house phone begins to ring. Jess, one of the sorority sisters, answers the call and reveals the caller to be the Moaner, an obscene caller who's dialed the girls before. The dirty calls in this movie would be a real headache to incorporate by today's standards. The language used, yeah, it wouldn't fly now. Some of the film's most disturbing and offensive sounds can be heard here. It's legitimately creepy. Then Lois Lane, yeah, Margot Kidder, takes the call and tells the Moaner to pretty much fuck off. Kidder plays Barb, an inebriated potty mouth not afraid to speak her mind. Sure, Bay of Blood preceded Black Christmas, but it is the Bob Clark classic that is often considered the first original slasher in North America, inspiring many films including John Carpenter's Halloween. When it came down to producing a horror movie, it's only fitting Bob Clark chose Christmas. The film was released during the time of Roe vs. Wade, so it was a horror movie with a message about women's rights. As the Christmas party continues, Claire is the first victim after a brief dispute with Barb, the killer, hidden in her closet, puts a plastic bag over Claire's head, and when we see her next, she is dead in a rocking chair. The next day, Claire's father searches for her after she failed to meet him in the morning. House mother, Miss McHenry, offers to help Mr. Harrison look for his daughter Claire. Miss McHenry is a fascinating character. She spends most of the film drinking booze from hidden stashes all throughout the sorority house. She's pretty much always sloshed. Meanwhile, Jess tells her boyfriend Peter that she is pregnant and is going to have an abortion, to Peter's disapproval. Mr. Harrison goes to the police station with some of the sorority sisters to report Claire is missing. Sergeant Nash is pretty much stupid and doesn't take the report seriously. Meanwhile, Jess gets another obscene phone call. This time, multiple voices can be heard, mainly gibberish, but attempting to form sentences.
Listen, if I was getting these phone calls, I would have been just like Barb, cussing this motherfucker out. Thing I never got was, why didn't they just hang up? But they kept talking to the guy. Lucky that Star 69 was not around, because I would have Star 69 that asshole if he kept calling me.
So the next time you're in the forest, be extra careful, okay?
If you knew it was me, would you have listened?
Jess and Claire's boyfriend, Chris, demand to speak to the police again. This time, Sergeant Nash gets ripped a new bunghole. Lieutenant Fuller, portrayed by the late great John Saxon of A Nightmare on Elm Street fame, picks up the case after a second person is missing, this time a young child. Miss McHenry, who I'm pretty sure is slightly hammered, searches for the house cat Claus and discovers Claire's cold corpse before getting impaled by a crane hook. The demented killer throws a tantrum and wrecks the attic. Meanwhile, while the search for Claire continues, the caller calls the house again, tormenting Jess for her decision that she is making. A gruesome discovery is soon made as the remains of the missing little girl have been recovered by the search party. Panic and dread soon engulfs the townfolk as Jess is horrified. An unnerving conversation involving someone named Agnes and a young boy Billy will send shivers down your spine. Suddenly, a defeated and an intoxicated Peter startles Jess. You see, earlier in the movie, Peter flunked a recital and blamed Jess for his lack of focus. This man just isn't right. Peter and Jess discuss getting married because she is pregnant. Jess isn't too thrilled and cannot marry Peter. A frustrated Jess dials the police to report the weird phone calls, and of course it's Sergeant Nash who disregards her worries. Lieutenant Fuller wonders about the connection of a missing girl and the obscene phone calls. After being duped by Barb earlier in the movie, Lieutenant Fuller and the boys have a laugh at Nash's ignorance. Who hired this guy? As Jess is still reeling from her conversation with Peter about the abortion, Lieutenant Fuller has agreed to wiretap the sorority house. On a cold December night, Jess patiently waits in the house, expecting the call from the killer when she hears Barb have an asthma attack from a nightmare upstairs in her bedroom. After receiving help from Jess, Barb winds back down as Christmas carolers pick the wrong house to serenade. The killer, who still remains hidden from the viewer, watches over Barb as she falls back to sleep. After a rude awakening, Barb is then killed as the carolers sing, stabbed to death multiple times pervasively with a decorative icicle, probably made of glass. The house phone rings once again and the prank caller harasses Jess with the sound of a baby crying. The police were not able to get the caller as the call was too short. What Jess heard affected her. Peter then calls frantically upset and talks about killing the baby, which Lieutenant Fuller asks Jess about, making Peter look like the prime suspect. Lieutenant Fuller tells Jess that Peter needs help and wonders if Peter was around during the calls. Lieutenant Fuller explains to Jess she needs to keep the caller longer on the line. Jess now feels relieved that it was not Peter as she was with him during the call. Finally, Jess gets another call and the police try to narrow down where the call is coming from. Jess continues to hear the disturbing phone call.
Oh, okay. You want me to keep him on the phone longer? All right, well, listen. Don't judge me, because the stuff that I'm about to say, also, you're not going to be recording this, right? I don't want my fucking mother to hear what kind of fucking dirty mouth I got.
Cool thing about these guys is they really long fronts, and that's cool.
The telephone lineman tells Lieutenant Fuller the call is coming from the same address, from within the actual house. As Fuller calls the police officer who is watching over the sorority, there isn't an answer due to the officer's throat being slashed. Jess then gets a call from Sergeant Nash, who instructs her to follow his directions, no questions asked. Obviously, after many failed attempts to get Jess out of the house, finally, Sergeant Nash screams through the telephone. The calls are coming from inside the house.
Excuse me? What? Yeah, so you're gonna have to wait for the conclusion of the Horror Fiend Drive-In Theater double feature. So, ta-ta for now.